You wake up in someone else's life again. Same bed, same routine, same face in the mirror. But it's not yours. Not really. It's a performance you perfected so long ago that you forgot you were acting. Your partner kisses a version of you that doesn't exist. Your boss praises an employee you invented. Your friends love someone you constructed to be lovable. And somewhere underneath all these layers of performance, the real you is suffocating. You feel it at 3 a.m. when the masks slip and you can't remember who you were before you started pretending. You feel it in that flash of panic when someone asks what you really want and your mind goes blank. You feel it in the exhaustion that sleep can't fix because it's not your body that's tired. It's your soul, from carrying a character that weighs more each year. Here's what's actually happening. You're not living, you're dying. Slowly, invisibly, respectably, dying inside a persona so perfectly crafted that everyone believes it's you. Until those moments when the truth breaks through and you realize you're watching your life from the outside, like a ghost haunting your own existence. Carl Jung saw this in his patients. Successful people, respected people, people who'd done everything right. They came to him between 35 and 45, not with mental illness, but with something worse, soul death. They'd spent so long being who they were supposed to be that they'd murdered who they actually were. And Jung discovered something that should terrify you. There's a point of no return, a moment when the false self becomes so dominant that the true self stops fighting, stops trying to emerge, just gives up. And after that point, you don't get a midlife crisis. You get a living death. 40 more years of playing a role until your body finally catches up with what your soul already knows. You were never really here. Tonight, we decode Jung's most urgent warning. Why the persona you built to protect you is now destroying you. How to recognize the signs before it's too late. And most importantly, how to stage your own resurrection before the false self wins permanently. Let me show you exactly how you built your own prison. It started when you were small, maybe 5, maybe 7. Someone you loved showed you that parts of you were unacceptable, not with cruelty necessarily, just disappointment. A look when you were too loud. Silence when you showed the wrong emotion. Praise when you performed correctly. Your child brain, desperate for survival and love, took notes. This part of me is dangerous. Hide it. This behavior gets approval. Amplify it. This dream makes them uncomfortable. Bury it. By 10, you had a working prototype. The good child, the easy one, the smart one, the funny one. Whatever character earned you safety and belonging. And it worked. You got the validation, the acceptance, the love, or what looked like love, if you didn't examine it too closely. Jung called this the persona, from the Latin word for mask. But here's what most people don't understand. It's not just one mask. It's an entire wardrobe of performances. The professional you, the family you, the social media you, each one carefully calibrated to extract maximum approval with minimum authenticity. Watch what happens in your body when I describe this, the way you modulate your voice on work calls to sound more authoritative, the personality you wear at family gatherings, agreeable, non-controversial, safe, the interests you claim to have because they're acceptable, the dreams you've edited down to fit what seems realistic. You've become so good at this that switching between personas is automatic, unconscious. You don't even notice the energy it takes anymore. That constant low-level exhaustion, that's the cost of maintaining multiple false selves simultaneously. But here's the truly insidious part. Each time you choose the persona over your authentic response, you send a message to your true self. You're not good enough. You're not safe to be. You need to stay hidden. And your true self listens. It retreats deeper, speaks quieter, until one day it stops speaking at all. The construction was gradual. So gradual, you didn't notice you were building your own cage. But now you're inside it, and the bars are made of other people's expectations, and the lock is your own fear of disappointing them. Here's how you know the breaking point is near. You succeed at something you worked years for. Promotion, relationship milestone, financial goal, and feel nothing. Not joy, not satisfaction. Just a hollow echo where feeling should be. Because the person who achieved it isn't you. It's the performance. And somewhere deep inside, you know the difference. Or this. You're in a room full of people who claim to love you. And you feel absolutely alone. Because they love your persona. They love the character you play. If they saw the real you, the doubts, the darkness, the dreams you've never spoken, would they stay? You'll never know. Because you'll never risk showing them. Jung identified this as the crisis point. When the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be becomes so wide that you can't bridge it anymore. Your psyche starts sending distress signals, anxiety that medication doesn't touch because it's not chemical. It's existential. Depression that therapy doesn't lift because you're not sick. You're buried alive in your own performance. The symptoms are everywhere if you know how to look. That restlessness that makes you scroll endlessly through phones, seeking something you can't name. The fantasies about disappearing, starting over somewhere where nobody knows your name, and you could finally be yourself. The resentment toward people who seem authentic, who seem free, who seem to actually inhabit their own lives. Your body keeps the score. The tension headaches from holding a smile that isn't yours. The digestive issues from swallowing words you needed to say. The insomnia from lying next to someone who doesn't know who you really are. Lying in both senses of the word. And here's what Jung understood that most therapists miss. This isn't a psychological problem. It's a spiritual emergency. Your soul is trying to break free from the persona, and the persona is fighting for its life. Because it knows that if the true self emerges, the false self dies. This is why midlife crisis hits so hard. It's not about age. It's about accumulation. 20, 30, 40 years of choosing the mask over the face. Until one day, you can't remember what your actual face looks like. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. We're going deeper. Let me tell you what Jung discovered that modern psychology still won't admit. The people keeping you trapped in your persona aren't strangers. They're the ones closest to you. Your family, who just wants what's best. Your partner, who fell in love with your performance. Your friends, who need you to stay the same so they don't have to question their own masks. Watch their reaction when you try to change. When you express a new interest, set a boundary, speak an uncomfortable truth. See how quickly they remind you who you're supposed to be. That's not like you. You've changed. I liked the old you better. What they're really saying, get back in your cage. Your authenticity is threatening my comfort. Because here's the secret wound. Everyone around you is wearing personas too. Your awakening forces them to feel their own suffocation. Your freedom highlights their imprisonment. Your truth exposes their lies. This is why the journey back to self is so lonely. You're not just fighting your own resistance. You're fighting an entire system designed to keep everyone performing, everyone pretending, everyone properly domesticated. Jung saw this pattern repeatedly. The patient ready to individuate, to become whole, faced immediate resistance from their environment. Spouses threatened divorce. Parents withdrew love. Friends disappeared. Because the authentic person was a stranger to them. They'd fallen in love with the mask. But here's what you need to understand. Their discomfort with your truth is not your emergency. Their need for you to remain false is not your responsibility. Their addiction to your persona is not your prison sentence. You can recognize the moment of choice approaching. It feels like standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you, the known prison of your false self. Ahead, the terrifying freedom of being real. Most people step back, choose the familiar suffocation over the unknown aliveness. But you're still here, still listening, which means something in you is ready to jump. This is where Jung's work becomes a revolution, not a theory, a practice, a deliberate, conscious reclamation of your buried self. And it starts with one radical act: disappointing someone on purpose. Choose someone safe first. Cancel plans you don't want to keep. Say no to a request you'd usually accept. Express a preference that contradicts what they expect. Feel the discomfort. Feel the guilt. Feel the terror that they'll abandon you. Then watch what actually happens. Most won't even notice. Some will adjust. A few will rage. And those few? They just revealed they were in relationship with your performance, not with you. Next, the excavation. Jung called it the return to the prima materia, the original material of your psyche, before it was shaped by others' hands. What did you love before you learned it wasn't practical? What did you dream before you learned it wasn't realistic? What did you feel before you learned it wasn't acceptable? Write it down, not for anyone else to read, for you to remember. That child who wanted to paint, to travel, to write, to dance, they're still in there, buried under decades of should and must and be reasonable, but not dead, waiting. Start small, 1 hour a week, doing something that serves no purpose except it makes you feel alive. Not productive, not impressive, just yours. Watch how your nervous system responds, first with anxiety, because you're breaking the rules, then with a relief so profound it might make you cry. Then comes the hardest part: integration. Taking off the mask in front of someone who matters. Not dramatically, just honestly. I've been pretending to enjoy this. I don't actually believe that. I've been saying yes when I meant no. The persona will fight back. It will tell you this is dangerous, selfish, destructive. It will predict catastrophe. It will mobilize guilt and fear and shame, because it knows its existence depends on your compliance. But here's Jung's promise: On the other side of this death is a resurrection, not into another false self, but into who you actually are. Messy, contradictory, impossible to fully understand, but real. Finally, actually real. You'll know it's working when people start saying you've changed. What they mean is you've stopped performing for them. You'll know it's working when you can sit alone without distraction and not feel empty, because you're finally keeping yourself company. You'll know it's working when you lose relationships that used to feel essential, because they were essential to your false self. Your true self needs different people. People who can handle your complexity, your shadows, your light that doesn't dim itself for their comfort. Jung understood something crucial. You don't find your true self. You create it. Through choices, through courage, through the willingness to disappoint everyone who profited from your performance. This isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming sovereign. Not cruel, but clear. Not heartless, but boundaried. You can still love people. You just stop sacrificing your soul for their approval. The emergence happens in stages. First, the remembering who you were before. Then, the reclaiming, taking back what you abandoned. Then, the rebuilding, creating a life that fits your actual shape, not the shape others carved you into. Some people will celebrate your emergence. These are your people. Keep them close. Others will mourn the loss of who you used to be. Let them grieve, but don't go back to comfort them. That's how you ended up here in the first place. And some, the ones who were feeding off your false self, will try to destroy what you're becoming. They'll use guilt, manipulation, threats of abandonment. This is where you discover whether you want to be free more than you want to be safe. Most people will choose the persona. They'll choose the slow death over the terrifying rebirth. They'll choose the known suffocation over the unknown freedom. And they'll justify it with elaborate reasons that all amount to fear. But you're different. Not special. Different. Because something in you recognizes the truth of what's being said. Because your soul is still fighting, still refusing to accept that this performance is all there is. So here's your choice. Laid bare. Continue dying respectably in a life that looks right, but feels wrong. Or burn it all down. Not the external life, but the false self that's living it. Let the persona die so you can finally, actually live. This isn't a 10-step program. It's a declaration of independence from others' expectations, from your own fear, from the comfortable prison you've called home. Comment below. My authenticity is worth more than their approval. Not for me, for you. As a commitment, as a promise to the real self that's been waiting, perhaps for decades, for you to finally choose it. Because here's Jung's final warning. There comes a point where the true self stops knocking, stops trying to emerge, accepts its burial. And after that point, you don't get a second chance. You get a life sentence. 40 more years of performance until the curtain finally falls. But today, right now, you're at the threshold. The door is still open. The choice is still yours. Your true self is still alive under all those layers of performance, waiting for one thing: your permission to exist. Will you give it? The time for pretending is over. The time for performing has passed. The time for being who they need you to be is done. This is your time, your emergence, your resurrection. Choose yourself. Choose truth. Choose the terrifying, exhilarating, absolutely necessary journey back to who you really are. The persona had its time. It served its purpose. It kept you safe when you needed safety. But you don't need it anymore. You need something far more dangerous, far more powerful, far more real. You need yourself. Welcome home.